Greetings and welcome to Created by Chaos. I wanted to show you something, a little thing that I'm doing at the moment. Now, some of those out there that have known me for quite some time know the fact that I started 3D printing with PLA, mostly cosplays and so forth, and they had a simple process. When you had two bits you had to join together. It was, you glue it together and then you put in a filler, sand, put in a bit more filler, sand, putty, primer, and away we go. Now, with modeling, the same thing applies. You can use other types of fillers. Today I'm going to be using this stuff. We call it spak filler here. It's kind of like a malleable version of plaster Paris. If I can get the lid off. There we go. So it's just like a putty, but very, very soft, very, very easy to use. Now, it has its merits and flaws. It's cheap. It works really well. It gets in there. You can sand it. You can glue it. Not really glue it. You can sand it. You can paint it, and it works wonders. Now, if you want to use something a bit more stronger, then this is the stuff. Green stuff, it's called. It's two-part type of putty. You cut it and then you milled it and knead it until it turns green. Hence why it's called green stuff. That stuff, once it's dry, is rock hard. I mean, here's a little bit of extra that I've got. A little snail that I turned it into, and I'll put it in terrain. It is rock hard. This stuff is good for joins, bigger joins, because it has a bit of an adhesive property as well. Very handy. But since we're doing fine little lines and so forth, you want to go a little bit easier. Now, you can buy all sorts of tools. I picked these up at my local arts and craft store for like $10. These I'll be using on a project later on, which is very, very handy. But for the moment, I picked up a small El Cheapo toy from Games Workshop once again. And this and my fingers will be perfect. So as you can tell, I've already done some. So I have another one over here. It had some joining problems in the gaps here, so I popped a bit of the old spak filler in there. And what I can do later on is I can come in here with a little file and just chip away these little bits if I want to, clean it up here and such, and then just give it a sand back, and away we go. Now we also have this little gap up here, which I'm going to have to do as well. So what I might do actually is a little gap in the top. That's I was going to do the base, but this is quite good. So what we need to do is just grab a little smidge. You don't want a lot. And what you want to do is you just want to try to get it in the gap as best you can. Now just pop it in there. Remove it. I think I put way too much on there, but it is what it is. And even it out. And don't be afraid to use your fingers. Your fingers are one of your best tools, realistically speaking. Once again, pop it in there. There we go. Now, the glorious thing about medieval buildings is the fact is, when I paint this up, I'm going to be putting in a lot of gunk, so there'll be moss. I might even put like a little owl or something on the roof and such. So if it's a little bit dirty or a little bit mucky, thankfully, it won't matter too much. In fact, in some respects, it might add to the model. So there we go. And once again, always try to use your fingers wherever possible. Let's do a little bit there in the corner. Actually, I might try the little fine end here. Okay. So all I'm doing is I don't want the gap to be noticeable. I'd rather have some, stuff that I can just peel away later on. Now, you notice up here, you've got some gunk and so forth. I can just remove it easily enough. But once it dries, You can just get a tool like this. This is a clay tool, I think it is. And I can just go in later on and just scoop it out. Not a problem. Easy peasy. Okay, so what we've got here on the side here, we've got part of the line. So once again, we just, now what I'm doing, I'm just scooping up. So all I'm doing is filling in the gap. I'm not going downwards, I'm going from the bottom up, and so it's like collecting into that gap. Now this is going to be a little bit of a slow process, I think, but it's has to be done. And you can tell I'm not taking too much time with it. And then when I'm coming down with my finger, so fingers coming down, so it's just collecting all the goo. I mean, it can go up if it wants to, but it's just how I do things. On the other side here again, so we get a little bit of gunk, and we go up. Now, I want to go fast. I mean, the habit is I just want to just smear it all on there and, be done with it. And get it over and done with. You can't do that. You've got to understand the fact that sometimes these things have to be done slowly but surely. And I rather honestly take my time with it and know the fact that I'm doing it properly. Now this side over here isn't too bad. As you can tell, the line, it's visible if you know what you're looking for. But once I coat that in a bit of paint, well actually an undercoat and then a couple of layers of paint, you're not going to notice that unless of course you're looking very, very close. This side it's a little differently. It's got a bit more of a noticeable gap, especially on the bits here. So these bits in particular, you've got to, don't get me wrong, if you're just doing this for a bit of fun, then you don't have to. But for me, I want to do buildings that are beautiful, that are professional, that people will look at and go, wow, how the hell did he make that? And that's the joy. You want people to look at your stuff and think, that's, not only is that a functional piece of terrain, but it's almost like a bit of artwork. I have been painting models since the 80s. And, you've seen some of my techniques, and I'll show you a few more along the way. But the stuff I'm doing at the moment is different. Normally, that's close enough, she'll be right sort of attitude. Not with this stuff. This stuff, I am going to do my best to make it look phenomenal. And I'll show you along the way each step. For the most part, at the moment, I'm talking, and I will talk here, there, and everywhere about how I'm doing and what I'm doing and so forth. Once again, going up in little strokes, over and over. Actually, I might try a different technique. I've never done this before, but I've been told about it. So what you do is you just smear it in the general vicinity, and then you just rub your hands back and forth. Well, that works, but you do get a little line here, which might cause some problems. But that said, it works a lot faster. All right, so what that does is I'll have to come back in a short while with a file and just pick it out, which is going to be annoying, but it's time consuming. It's a little annoying, but it's a lot faster. So, where was I? Yes, so I'll be doing a series of videos where I'm not talking as much. So it'll be me just sitting here doing painting, doing modeling and so forth. And then I might do a voiceover or something. At the moment, just getting this. I'm still getting used to doing YouTube videos. I hope to improve with followers. And please, if you like what you see, like me, add me, and give me comments. I'm always up to chat to somebody, always happy to help out, and, you know, talk modelling. That's what we're here for. That's what we all love. All right, one little bit I've got left here, right here. So, once again, put your little modelling bit in there. Your spak filler, use your finger. See, and the finger does most of the work for you. It just evens it out. And of course, there are going to be times when you can't get your finger in there. So you just have to do the best you can. Okay, so I think we're pretty much done here. There is a little gap in here, but the problem is, though, that some of these things are just so beautifully designed. They've got little rocks and so forth. And I don't want to spoil it. There we go, that's good. Okay. Right. Now, this is a problem sometimes when you get into that groove and you start seeing tiny little bits and you're like, oh my goodness, I forgot to do that there and I've got to do this here. All right, so what I'll do is I will now wait for this more than likely overnight to dry. Then I will get some, I don't know, 800 grit to 1000 grit sandpaper and slowly give it a bit of a sanding. And then it's ready for painting. Everyone have a wonderful, it's almost 10 o'clock at night here on a Friday. My goodness. All right, everyone have a wonderful evening, day, morning, wherever you are in the wonderful world. If you have any problems, any questions, let me know. Like me, add me, and I shall chat to you next time. This is Chaos out.